My name is Aurelie Cormier, and welcome to the Intentional Wellness Parenting Show, where we set an intention to create healing and wellness every living day. Let me ask you, have you felt sometimes that life is just hard? Wonder if I told you that our life is actually meant for joy, fun, and good health. Of course, it doesn't just happen, but the first step to getting there is to believe that good health is possible and to envision what you would love. From there, we can choose the simple health habits that give our minds, bodies, and spirits the nourishment it needs to work well. Over 2 million people in the U.S. will be diagnosed with cancer this year. Between 600,000 and 1 million are preventable. Our genes are not our destiny, yet our epigenetics can be affected by environmental factors. Therefore, the best time to make a difference is now. So let's dive right in.
Hey, everybody, welcome. This is, in fact, Intentional Wellness Parenting with Aurelie Cormier. And I have to always do the French part of that. I just can't help myself. I just want to make you French. Uh, this show, sorry. Look, this show is, first of all, there's not enough I could say in this short show about how much service Aurelie provides. I just want you all to know something. We're coming into a time of year now that many of us that have points in our lives where we have not been well. Having someone like Aurelie that you or your family or loved one can contact is priceless. It's priceless. If you are listening to the show and you're thinking, I'm good, I'm okay, I will guarantee you that you know at least 3 people that could use help and support today. Aurelie is going to walk us through connecting with your inner spirit and finding your purpose. Why? The most depressed I think I've ever been in my life is when I've been lost in this area. And I didn't know that what I needed, I had already had within me. Aurelie, thank you so much for everything you're doing. I think I was on point when I talked about this time of year and what people go through, right?
Yeah. And I really appreciate you saying those things, because if there's one thing that I want to highlight, it's I appreciate so much your purpose in this life to really inspire others and to bring some of these messages to other people. So I have felt so supported. And that's what I also love doing for other people. But one of the things that I wanted to share today, because our topic is on spirituality and purpose, is how I found mine. And when I was 40, I became pregnant unexpectedly, like 45% of women in the United States who are either married or not married or single. Most pregnancies are unexpected. And so having been somebody that had a very healthy lifestyle, I doubled down on that because I wanted to give my baby the best long, healthy life that I could. So I made sure I ate like super healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables every day, mostly organic. I cut out any chocolate and caffeine and alcohol and desserts and processed foods. I would get up every morning and go running near the beach near where I lived. So I'd get my exercise. And then at 26 weeks, when my belly was so big, it was too hard to run anymore, I switched over to swimming, and I'd do that after work. And at 35 weeks, I went for my regular OB visit, and my doctor told me that I had preeclampsia, or signs and symptoms of preeclampsia, and they needed to admit me to the hospital. And this was kind of a shock for me. But I was induced over a 2-day period. And about halfway through that period, I had what I would call a near-death experience. I started to have this peace beyond all knowing. I had never had that kind of peace before. I've never had that kind of peace since. I was lying on my back for 2 days in labor and delivery, and I was looking at the ceiling, and I could see all these angels and spirits on the ceiling, and I couldn't identify exactly who they were. I just could see they were angels and spirits, and they communicated with me telepathically. I couldn't hear them talking to me, but I got their message.
Yes.
And it was a very beautiful message. But basically, they said to me, everyone I had helped in my life was now helping me, and I was going to be fine. And with that, I knew it was true. I just relaxed and, kind of came to and spoke to my doctor and asked her what time it was, and, you know, ended up delivering my daughter. But I can tell you that it was a very transformative experience for me. And through that, I always knew from the time I was young, I don't know how, but I knew what my overall purpose was in my life. But after this, I realized our life is very short and we never know when it's going to end. And so, and even when we're doing all the right things, sometimes things happen. And, there are women that die in childbirth. I am grateful every day that I'm still here. And the best and sweetest years of my life, I got to bring up my daughter. But from that, I learned that my purpose is crystallized. It's
Yeah.
crystal clear now. So,
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this. And let me just tell you why. Recently, I've started to share a similar experience, and I hadn't always felt safe
mhm,
talking about it. But here we are, and we're sharing things to help people understand that inside of them, within us, there and being guided, right, by the
yep,
outside,
yep,
there are messages. And you know what I love about what you shared? Because I've been waiting for somebody to say this. You and I share something very common.
mm,
We didn't like hear voices we just knew. See, we had a knowing,
knowing.
right? A
Yep,
knowing. And that knowing then did what for you, right? As you went through that experience and you had that, and you went through this and you realized your purpose.
right.
What did you do after that? See, sometimes what happens, people are like, what? I'm hosting what kind of show? Building what kind of network? Seriously, I went to school for 10 years, like, not about this. What did you do right after that?
Well, I was bringing up my daughter for a while,
Yeah,
but basically what it ignited me was what my purpose in this life was. And I had no time to waste. That because I realized we're only here for a limited amount of time and we just never know
yeah,
when it's our last day. But once I knew what my crystal clear purpose was and that there was no time to waste, I just had to work on that every
yeah,
day, and it
yeah.
led here. Yeah.
I love this because let's talk about this experience and what it does teach us, because there's so many things that I could point to. I mean, look at you now. Look at you. Look
Yeah,
at what you're doing in the world. Look at
I
how many
know.
lives you're helping, how many lives you're saving, how many people you're getting information, how many places, hospitals, who, whatever. Look at you now. You're literally flourishing, as my friend would say, Beth Larson would say, you're flourishing. You have that flourishing frequency
Yeah,
because you had the boldness and courage to act on what you saw, right?
right. Yeah. Yeah, because we all have lessons here in this lifetime. And I do believe my patients have taught me this, and I've learned it in my life. Every challenge we have in this life, and especially health challenges, help us to grow and to be better people in this life. And if there's one thing I know for sure, we're currently in the midst of a transformative world. And it's challenging us like never before. And two of the most important lessons that we uh, come here to learn in this life is one about unconditional love, and the other is forgiveness. And unconditional love is something that I try to practice every single day. But in terms of forgiveness, this is something that took a lot longer for me to learn. And it probably took me about 40 years to finally
Mhm.
come to some sense that, oh, yeah, I better forgive because I'm like not helping myself. And when I finally did forgive, it freed my spirit
Yeah.
so that I made more room within myself for all of the positive emotions, all the joy, so I can wake up every day and be so grateful that I see, I hear, I can get up, I can move, and I can do what I'm passionate about, which is try to help prevent cancer in people that either have a personal history of it or a family history of it, because 30 to 50% of these cancers don't need to exist if we know what to do to help ourselves to prevent it in the first place.
Yeah. And, it's fascinating. I listened to a show in my car on Sirius satellite, and I listened. If you get in my car, you're not going to hear a lot of music. You're going to hear this show because it's my time that I feed and fuel my soul. So I
Mm-hmm.
listened to a spiritual teacher in my car, and he is really quite amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, here's what I was struck by. He is a live call-in show. You can never get in, but if you listen, the first six callers, and then I had to go. Cancer. Every one of them talked about either having cancer, healing cancer. But
Yep.
see, this is what we're talking about. And I love the proactive way you approach this
Yep.
because there are things we can do. There are life lessons in the challenging moments,
Right.
right?
Right. And so, in terms of what we can do to try to prevent these cancers in the first place, one message that I want to bring to everybody today is find what you're passionate about, find your purpose, because I have seen over and over again when people have a will to live, it makes a huge difference. I've seen people and I've taken care of people. They were on the edge of life. We were doing everything that we could to try to help reverse their cancers and these complicated medical conditions they had. And for some of them, when it seemed like everything was lost, they came back and they got ignited. Their life got ignited again and they overcame their cancers. They survived. Some went on to just survive with a chronic condition. Others were actually healed and cured. And I have, and sometimes it's that people find what their purpose and their passion and their strong will to see one of their children graduate high school, or it may be that they want to see their first grandchild being born. I took care of a patient one time who was very, very sick with endometrial cancer. Her doctor gave her a couple of months to live. And in the midst of that couple of months, her
Mhm.
daughter said she was pregnant. That woman not only went on to see her grandchild born, but she lived for several years after that because she was so excited and passionate about this little baby. And it was like her purpose came back again. So, this idea of our spirit, which is not religious at all, it is basically, we are, well, this is what my mentor, Mary Morrissey, taught me. And I know
What a
you know
great
Mary
mentor.
Morrissey. Oh, an
What
amazing
a great
mentor.
Mary. I've known Mary since the first time I did my first show. And what a great mentor. What did she teach you? I'm sure she taught you a lot of things, but what did
She
she
taught
teach
me
you
a lot of
here?
things, but the main thing that I wanted to share today is I used to think that I was a human being having an interest in spirit and spirituality. What she said to us is we are actually spiritual beings having a human experience. And I was like, what? We're spiritual beings having a human experience. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, yes, that is true. We are spiritual beings. We are all spiritual beings on this earthly life. And because we live in such a transformative time with so much conflict, and it seems like every day something else is happening, when we find what our passion and our purpose is, that ignites new light in the world and you get a certain number of people shining their light, that transforms the energy over our entire earth and we will shift it towards something positive and we will help collectively to transform this earthly life into something good.
Yeah, I love that we're talking about this. Let's talk about spirituality more.
Yep.
For somebody like me, I was deeply rooted as a young child
Mm-hmm.
by my aunts. My mom was not well, but my aunt, and get this, Aunt Grace. Hello, what a name. And Aunt Grace was very different than my other relatives. She Catholic, right? Italian Catholic, but now I know she really wasn't Italian because Grandpa was born in Brazil. Doesn't matter. Catholic, but she had such an appreciation for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
She talked about him differently than what I later on, but she had this spiritual sense. Whenever we went to church, she would go to Mother Mary and she would talk to it was just an incredible experience. I'm a 5-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that experience. And it wasn't about fear with her, it was more about ask. She would say to me, and I'd like you to talk to this point. She would say to me as a 5-year-old, Patricia, like Patrizia,
Patrizia.
ask for what you want,
Yes.
and I will help you light a candle. Ask for what, ask, ask. And I learned that at such a young age. And I want to ask you about this because we don't ask. We're not connected enough the way we could be with our spirituality. And
Right.
so, therefore, we're cutting off the infinite abundance that's available to us. How can you help us get on track with this? Because you know what? Spirituality, prayer has shown to heal cancer. I mean, so many things. So, what have you learned? What do you talk to people about when it comes to passion and purpose and spirituality?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I recommend is for people to have a little journal by their bedside or maybe on a a desk that's a private area. And every day if they can, just for a couple of minutes or at least once a week, just write down what they love. What if there were no boundaries in this earthly life, what would they love? And then start writing in great detail what that involves. And maybe what they would love is to have a child. And they write down, what kind of child they want. They want a boy, they want a girl, they want a healthy child, they want uh you know whatever, and then visualize it and feel it every single day. Because when we feel it, we are going to manifest that in our life. And it will lead us to what our passion is. It can also lead us to what our purpose is in this life. And oftentimes, and one of the reasons why I recommend having this by your bedside is oftentimes when we sleep during the night, our mind is thinking. It's detoxifying itself, it's thinking, it can reorganize, things that we have asked ourselves. So when we first wake up in the morning, we may be recording some of our dreams. What do we dream? If we could have the best life that we can imagine, what would that be? And I can tell you that I did this for myself. And, sometimes it means that we have to overcome our paradigms like, oh, we're not good enough. Oh, I've got all these, you know, health challenges. How am I ever going to have a baby? But then you would be surprised when you visualize it, feel it, dream it, have a passion for it, it will happen in your life too. This or something better still. Because
Yeah.
in some instances, it may be we don't get exactly what we want, but spirit is going to help us get what's even better than maybe what we imagined.
Absolutely. I could tell you almost every time that is true for me. And it's not that I've always been pleased. Like, for example, something else show up and you think, what? You want me to
This
do
isn't
a
what I asked
show?
for.
You want me to pay for airtime and do a show? This is in 2003. Seriously? I just went to school for 10 years. I'm trying to find a job and you want me to do, but it was the thing that I never could have imagined for myself.
Right.
It showed up. But I wish everybody had an Aunt Grace. I
Hmm.
wish everybody had that. But if you don't, there are ways that you can work with other people. For example, with you, Orly,
Mhm.
you put a number of things into the work that you do. Let's just take a moment. How can people, one, find out more about that, find out about what you do, and how can they connect with you? Because this is really the time to do this.
Sure. Yeah. So if you have a special need, or you're trying to figure out what your purpose is, or maybe you have cancer in your family, or you've had a personal history of cancer, go to my website, aureliecormier.com. You'll see it on the Transformation Talk Radio website. And then from there, you'll see the menu up at the top. There's the home page where I have more of my mission, and then also my monthly blogs. I have the Transformation Talk Radio show menu up at the top. So you can see all of the shows that Dr. Pat and I have done together, and you can listen to the archives. I also have a workshop page so that I did 2 workshops last month. I'm doing another one in after the new year on food saved me, so that moms or dads can create healthy meals for their kids, their family in under 30 minutes. How's that?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Because we have to take away the excuse. This is a fantastic excuse that we have done here in the United States. I'm too busy to cook. That one. And what you're saying is, I'm too busy to be healthy. I'm too busy to care enough about myself that I spend a little time with this. And what you've done is you've given them a solution, because we have to get to the basics of
right.
what this body really wants, right? I'm not saying you can't go get a pizza like
But
every
sometimes
once in a
it's
while.
believing that we deserve to be healthy.
Exactly.
And what I'm saying is, yes, you do deserve to be healthy, and I am here to support you. But I also have a books and publications section where you can see my children's books, 2 books that I've contributed to, the paper that I published. And then the last on the right at the top, there's a work with me. Click on that. You answer 3 questions. Think about what you've seen on my website. What is it that I can help you with? And write that in the comments. Book yourself for an appointment. I have a calendar right there. You can just book yourself, whatever works for you. And I would love to help you. But, you also were talking about this in terms of my work that I do. This is called intentional wellness parenting for a reason, because just parenting isn't necessarily going to bring us or our kids to where we would love them to be. It helps if we have an intention. So if we set an intention each day, we take the action steps, we can actually help our kids, and help our kids in ways that we would love to help them. And one of the things we can do in terms of helping them with their spirit is finding out what they seem to really enjoy, what lights them up, what gets them excited. Really encourage them in those areas to give them more confidence in what they have an interest in. And then open up those experiences for them, whether that's a special camp for boys that want to be involved in baseball, or maybe someone wants to go to the NASA space camp and they want to learn all about being an astronaut, or maybe it's going to the Museum of Science and they learn about some scientific discovery that was made, and it ignites in them something they might like to work on to discover. Because our our responsibility as parents is not to tell our children what their purpose is in this life, but it's to inspire, encourage, give them the environment that they figure out for themselves what they would love. And when we do that, we give our kids such a beautiful gift when they find their purpose and their passion in this lifetime, because we all have come here with a purpose. And when as I said, when we share kindness, compassion, love, and our purpose in the world and our light in the world, we are creating a better world. And what a beautiful gift that is in
Yeah,
this
I love that.
transformative time.
Look, what you're talking about. Look, young child, I didn't have the greatest of childhood, but I will tell you that trip to the planetarium when I was a young child, like 5 or 6-ish,
Yep.
that's so imprinted on me in ways I don't have enough time today to tell you. I don't even know if there would be enough time to explain what that one thing did,
Mm-hmm.
but it opens up your world. Thank you so much for reminding us. And, let's break it down for people here. Have
Mm-hmm.
you sat down with your children and decided, wow, they're reading the next most popular teen book? And what if I were to sit down with them and we would read it together and then we would talk about it together? You
Yes.
see, sometimes you have to invite yourself to be in their world because as adults, we're always trying to get them to be in ours, aren't
Correct.
we? That
Yes.
does not work very well. Aurelie, what's your personal message? What do you want to leave us with today?
Well, what I know for sure is that we all came here with a purpose. And what I invite you to do, if you know your purpose, give yourself a pat on the back. That is fabulous. If you don't, then I would say take the time, dream, and think about what you would love in your life. Write that down, visualize it, feel it, and slowly that your purpose will start and your passion will start to come through, which will lead you to your purpose and why you're here. And collectively, like pieces of a puzzle that come together, we will create a better world.
It works, everyone. Thank you for tuning us in, turning us on. Please listen to what Aurelie has said. Step in to your divine purpose. We'll see you next time.
Okay. You've been listening to the Intentional Wellness Parenting Show with Aurelie Cormier and Dr. Pat, where we set an intention to create healing and wellness every living day. Tune into Transformation Talk Radio every third Tuesday of each month at 11:30 a.m. Pacific and 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time for more guidance and support. Beyond this, I offer workshops to focus on your good health while reducing risk of disease, especially cancer, so you can do more of what you love and spend less time being sick. What I know for sure is that this is especially beneficial for couples who are pregnant, have young children, or teens, as you will give yourself and kids the greatest chance of living a longer, healthier life. So please join us at the Intentional Wellness Parenting Show. For more information, visit aureliecormier.com.